I think it is almost confirmed that he's generous with untruths. Yeah, he's very generous with half-truths. So whether he's a liar, I don't know. Let us do what is supposed to be done now, and let us focus on the future. Because if there is any historical moment that Uhuru might have done not so well, historians are there to write.
Truly delighted to have you on board here on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your go-to point on matters, politics and governance here on Herman Manyora's channel. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Now with me today is the seasoned powerhouse and think tank that is former Cabinet Minister Ruto Arap Kirwa, here to help me dissect into the day's conversation. Welcome on board, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure always to be with you.
You are trending all over social media that you are very bold and honest about issues, especially governance issues.
Yes, I usually like being open because I think that's the contribution I can make to our country. It is a modest contribution, but nonetheless it makes me feel fulfilled that I've said as is, because the future of this country requires each and every person to contribute in their small or in their big way.
Very well.
Yeah.
Don't you think you're punching above your weight, going bare knuckles on President William Ruto and taking concern with his leadership style?
No, because it's up to him to appreciate that you can develop better when you listen to your critics. You can improve yourself by listening to your critics, because sycophants often flatter you with a lot of niceties that do not take you anywhere. And therefore, I think I'm more honest in my considered view to advise him. And if he was to listen to some of us, he may do better, even in the next election.
Very well.
Yeah.
The other day I was speaking to a Kenya Kwanza legislator, member of parliament, and I won't disclose his name, but he said, Ruto Arap Kirwa, your friend, is a perfect example of a diary of an angry man. Reason as to why he has not yet landed an appointment from President Ruto. That's why he's taking concern with everything, from economic to leadership style and all that. How true is that?
Well, I deal with matters I understand. And I'm not bitter. In fact, I'm happy that I never stayed with the president up to the end, because perhaps he would have given me a position, and given his leadership style, I would have been a frustrated minister. So I'm happy that we parted ways at the right time, and I wish him well, whatever he's doing. I can never be bitter. You see, Richard, unlike many people, including the president himself, they never served under Kibaki 1. Kibaki 1 was a perfect government where the minister has the necessary capacity, and if he has no capacity, he can seek that capacity within or without the ministry. And when you make mistakes, you are given a chance to correct those mistakes that you've made. You cannot tell me this one-man show would have fitted me as a minister, because I'm a free thinker. And I have not started. President Moi supported me to get into politics, but we disagreed for the 15 years. I was a member of parliament in Kano. We disagreed with him because his style was not in tandem with the people of Trans Nzoia. And the people of Trans Nzoia is a small Kenya, where you are dealing with all communities who have different shades of opinion, and they have different ways of looking at things. So in Trans Nzoia, if you are to be tribal, you will not last even more than 5 years.
Very well.
Yeah.
That of the way, let's head straight into the day's conversation, and let's begin from Mount Kenya politics, and that has to do with the political feature of DP Rigathi Gachagua. And in his recent public appearance, he had these sentiments to say, "When my time comes, I will not leave Mount Kenya where Uhuru Kenyatta left us, without leaders. We are growing old day by day. A time will come when we will need to exit." I'm going to ask you this. Is DP Gachagua still reading from an old political book, that of taking the blame squarely at the doorstep of your predecessors, just so to leverage on the political fodder of the day?
Well, that's what I usually consider in good English as escapism. You know, an escapist, what he does is to lay blame on everybody else except himself. And whenever he finds himself in a quandary, he tries to say, it is not me. President Uhuru Kenyatta has since retired, and if they want to invite him to the ring, they are increasingly inviting him. Remember, President Moi had a lot of beef with President Kibaki, including demoting him from the position of vice president to a position of Minister for Health. But when Kibaki took over, for the 10 years he was president, he never uttered anything negative about President Moi, because he spent a lot of time telling us, even in his cabinet, let us not spend time talking about the history of this country, who did not do what in the past. Let us do what is supposed to be done now, and let us focus on the future. Because if there is any historical moment that Uhuru might have done not so well, historians are there to write. So if you remind us of that, okay, we found the coffers empty, which is a misnomer. We found that there was no order, and you are still continuing implementing a manifesto instead of documenting it as a public policy document for purposes of civil servants and the public at large, believing in a certain strategic policy position.
Still on those corridors, your friend Cecily Kariuki, a seasoned public servant, has actually come forth and published an article on one of the national dailies saying and revealing how Uhuru Kenyatta sabotaged her gubernatorial plans, which made her not even to be the governor. Let me ask you, for young legislators who still have future elective bids that they are harboring in their minds, is it time that they focus on getting those bids and stop looking at the hindsight and through the rear window?
Well, I think the most important thing in life is to learn that every journey has potholes. Every journey has a smooth transition. Every journey has its own challenges, including the fact that you leave Nairobi with full tank, you reach Kitale with half tank, if you are doing well, or at times a quarter of the original fuel. So there is some kind of consumables in the process.
Sure.
And therefore, if you are to run into some kind of attrition, it is a normal consideration for any journey, including political journey. It is not always smooth. At times there is a challenge. Before
we actually close that tab on matters Mount Kenya politics, very recently we've seen a batch of Agikuyu elders being prosecuted and being taken to court, alleged to be members of the Mungiki sect. And one lawyer, that is Ndegwa Njiru, has come forth and saying even Justin Muturi went through the ritual, the Kikuyu rituals to crown an elder. So these same elders, now that they're saying they're Mungiki, is Justin Muturi part of Mungiki? Are we trying to look at everyone opposing Gachagua in Mount Kenya is profiled as a Mungiki? Do you think that's one of the strategies by Gachagua to dim his opponents?
Well, I don't know if he's engaging that, then he's actually becoming part of the colonial relic. Because when the colonialists came to this country and stayed here for about 70 years, they spent a lot of time demeaning whatever was traditional knowledge. And internationally and even intellectually, there is always what we call prior knowledge. There is a traditional knowledge, or what we call indigenous knowledge, that community has. And therefore you cannot say every community, whatever rituals they perform, are supposed to be actionable by law. Even that particular law is no longer there. It was proscribed because it's not there. Because even Mau Mau as a movement was considered initially as an illegal organization, and it remained in our books until Kibaki time. That's when we removed the issue of outlawing Mau Mau as a dangerous organization that must be looked upon as almost infringing on insecurity of the country. So if Gachagua is in that particular school, then it's in tandem with the fact that he was a DO, a district officer who did not really do so well in terms of public relations. Yep.
Very well. Moving on swiftly, over the weekend, we've seen Catholic Bishop Norman Kingo of Machakos come forth and take concern with the rising cost of living, asking President Ruto to stick to his promises for a better country, a better economy, and an easy economy for everyone, that is accommodating of the rich and the poor. This is not the first time the clergy is coming forth to take concern with the rising cost of living, but why are we seeing the church being given a deaf ear right now? Yet before the election, the current government was a darling to the church and they would really work in tandem with each other.
Well, many politicians, especially those who are gifted with poor memory for good things, forget immediately they are elected that there are so many people who on their behalf suffered untold problems because they were defending a certain cause they believed in. So if the president has chosen to be that smart politician who forgets your name immediately after elections, and on the eve of the next election he remembers your your name in 3, so be it. Yeah, because it is his style, perhaps, and I cannot change him.
Very well.
Yeah.
But then again, let's look at how actually non-state actors, the civil society, the church can actually help in strengthening our democracy and taking concern with the welfare of Kenyans. What do you think is the missing element in our civil society, human rights activists, the church, that is missing, that they need to inculcate in them so that they can really call out the messes in the current regime?
What is missing in the totality is what I call national conversation or national discourse. National discourse in the sense that we need to break down these elements into their components so that we are able to look at each cluster of things independent of the other, but have some kind of symmetry that they all come together to form the social network of Kenya. In that way, we can also do what I consider social reengineering, because where the country is today is so dangerous because we are in a society where we worship wealth without necessarily the means of achieving. And therefore, young people, whenever they see somebody floating around with a multi-million worth of property, whether it's a watch, whether it's a belt, whether it's a vehicle, they're happy with it. And they don't interrogate or they don't critically analyze how did this person achieve that. In that way, we run the risk of being a society that does not think about production, they think about consumption, regardless of the source of whatever is being consumed.
Rightly put there. Very last, let me ask you, do you actually subscribe to the argument from some sections and quarters who believe that President William Ruto is too available? There is need for him to be a little bit scarce, work in silence, and let his actions speak louder, just like the late President Kibaki did. Do you actually support that argument?
Well, I think each president has a different style. Possibly his style is hands-on, and you would want to make sure that anything that is done is able to associate with the success. But what I would request him to do is to speak less, because what the English say is that liars should have good memory. Because if you lie today, you must remember to lie in the same pattern tomorrow for you to create some consistency. But at times, what he says in Kakamega is different from what he says in Meru, and also different from what he says in Bomet.
Very well.
So it would be useful for the president to learn to say less so that he does not lie quite often.
Very well. Actually, do you think he runs the risk of actually being someone who is considered a liar, I could say that, quote unquote, if he continues that trend?
Well, I think it is almost confirmed that he's generous with untruths. Yeah, he's very generous with half-truths. So whether he's a liar, I don't know. But in most cases, he does not speak the truth.
Well, that point by Kipruto Arap takes us to the wrap of this conversation today on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, talking a cocktail of issues in the world of politics and governance, from matters judiciary to the political future of DP Rigathi Gachagua, and also matters to do with the future welfare of Kenyans, taking into context how the current leadership is going on in this country. Until next time on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, always a pleasure to have you on board. We wait you for the next edition. Have a good day.